Good evening, everyone. Tonight is Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. I'll open this North Liberty City Council meeting. Tracy, could we have roll call, please?
Fortney. Here. Leibold.
Here.
Park.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Wason.
Here.
Thank you. Item 3 is approval of the agenda. There are no changes to it. Could I have a motion for approval, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Wason, seconded by Fortney. Are there any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 4 is the consent agenda. Is there anything on there that you'd like to talk about separately? Otherwise, could I have a motion for consideration?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Park, seconded by Smith. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda carries. Item 5 is public comment. Now is the time for anyone in the audience wishing to address council on an item that's not already noted on our agenda. I will open the public comment period. Seeing none, I will close the public comment and move to our engineer's report. Josiah.
Thanks, Mayor. Okay, Ranshaw Way Phase 6. I'll remember that project, still in design. A quick update, it's a DOT-led project. They've got something called check plans, which is kind of nearing the last review for them. Shive Hattery is preparing the check plans for submittal to the DOT in July. And there's a number of review meetings with city staff in May to kind of go through parks, water, streets, fiber, kind of a last check of all the different components that go into that. I did want to note, we got an email yesterday. The DOT finished their review of the corridor of Ranshaw. They review something called NEPA, which is making sure like environmental and historical and a bunch of stuff is clear. So we got that on Monday that they've reviewed it, finalized it, and it's good to go. So it's always an important step to get. That project is still on track. That'll be bid this winter and construction starting next year. I wanted to update you on the Cherry Street Firehouse. The design work is nearing the end of the first phase, the schematic design phase. They're kind of going through different components of the project, including what the exterior will look like, the inside materials, colors, the site layout on the lot there, and then going through the programming and intended use of each room and layout space with the fire chief and staff. It's also kind of getting to a consensus on how we're going to approach the design of all the building systems. So electrical, mechanical, HVAC, all that stuff. So there's a lot going in there. That schematic design phase wraps up at the end of May, and they move into more detailed design. So that's in progress. Related to that, I wanted to touch on the Parks and Water Maintenance Building Addition project that we approved separately. That's a little bit behind that other one, but it started off, we had a design kickoff with city staff last week, and next week, the next step is an on-site tour over at the Public Works to get the architects and mechanicals in each of those buildings, meet with Guy and Greg and Michael and just understand everything that's going on there. So after that, that will lead into schematic design for the building additions and the site needs. And then again, that'll be reviewed by everybody one more time before moving into that detailed design effort. So that is in progress. And then I wanted to just give you a note on North Liberty Road Trail. That's an old project that's basically built. And I've actually got a chance to get on that a couple times this year. I hadn't really walked it, even though I worked on it. Really nice, really great place to go in the evenings. But I just wanted to note that that is a DOT-funded project, and so it requires a post-construction audit by the DOT for your funding. We've completed all our pre-audit work, got everything signed and uploaded to the DOT. They've acknowledged that they received it. They're going to look at it internally, but I just wanted you to know that's the last step on closing that one out. So it's also in progress. That's it, Mayor. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, Josiah. That's some good stuff going on. Are there any questions? Ryan, I'll move on to City Administrator report, please.
Thank you. I'd like to call your attention to the last 2 pages of the packet. I'm sure you've already reviewed them, but I just wanted to call out that this is our progress report. It's actually the last, I think, 3 pages. Our goals progress report. And you can see we continue to chip away at some of these goals. We have a handful of them that have been completed. We're still waiting on our report back from ECICOG for the last goal session that we just hosted in April. And when we get that back, of course, we'll have the new set of goals, and then we'll incorporate the projects that we're currently working on into that report and ultimately into the progress report as well. And so you'll see these again quarterly, but wanted to point out, wanted to make sure you saw this in the packet and notice that progress is continuing to be made. Some of the projects Josiah just talked about are in here as well. So good progress there. The other comment I would make on this and something we've been working on, as you know, we've given Coralville notice that as of July 1, we will no longer be using their transit service, what we all have come to affectionately call the Big Blue Bus. And so we just sent out last week an RFP to private contractors to help us continue a similar service in getting the folks who are using that bus now, 8 to 10 people a day, down into Iowa City. So we hope to have proposals back in May and then have something to this group for consideration in June and then the service to start in July. Part of all of this transition is on your agenda tonight, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but that's the seat contract that you have on the agenda. So there's a number of moving parts with this goal and this project. Angie McConville in our office has really taken the lead on that, and she'll be, when we're ready to present a recommendation, she'll be here in front of you that evening. And that's what I have this evening, Mayor, unless there are any questions.
Do you have any questions for Ryan?
Mayor, I have one. So Ryan, for NLTAP is with the transition from the bus to another private, would it benefit us relooking at the list of what is approved for NLTAP? I know we've done that not too long ago. We expanded that list a little bit. Is that something that we need to look at, or Angela thinks we're okay there?
Well, I think eventually we will. Our thought process was to bring on the new, call it the new service, or the what we'll call the fixed route service, and then kind of evaluate that along with what we're doing now, and determine if there are needs not being met.
Okay.
So I do think at some point we'll want to have that conversation. I also think we're going to run into the challenge of capacity. NLTAP right now is we partner with Yellow Cab, and they just have a capacity issue. They don't have as many drivers as they once had. So those are some of the challenges we'll have to work with. Perhaps there is an opportunity with whoever gets the RFP to provide some service. And then, of course, the biggest challenge with all of that is how are we going to pay for that additional service.
Yep.
But I think that's a great point and something that's on Angie's top of mind.
Great question. Are there any others? All right, I'll move on to item 8, which is the mayor's report. Just a couple of dates. Last Monday, I was able to attend the joint entities meeting. Tanya was there, Paul was there. I think that was it for a lot of great presentations, none of which that I'll go through in any detail. We were hoping to get some information regarding a challenge that an entity is having with transit, but it was on the agenda but never brought up. It was kind of an odd thing, so stand by on that. From a future scheduling thing, I just want to let you know that I'm not going to be able to be at the next 2 council meetings in May. for work purposes. Our company, Eagle Point Solar, was chosen as the developer for a grow solar initiative that started last week, and they've got some meetings that we didn't schedule, but we will be a part of these next couple of meetings. North Liberty will be hosting one of those events. They call them Solar Power Hours here on Thursday, June 25th at the North Liberty Library at 5:30. So Brian will be in charge. Be good to him, and I'll see you in June. I have a proclamation to read and move on with that. This is a limb loss and limb difference awareness month. Whereas 5.6 million Americans and counting are living with limb loss or limb difference, and whereas 500,000 new cases of limb loss or limb difference occur annually, and whereas approximately 35,000 children are born in the U.S. each year with limb difference, and 600 more lose part of a limb to a lawnmower accident every summer. And whereas access to appropriate prosthetic care for people living with limb loss and limb difference is vital to enable individuals to reach their full potential and live healthy, independent lives with the ability to engage in activities of daily living, essential job-related functions, personal hygiene, and physical activity to maximize whole body and mental well-being. And whereas April, a time of renewal and inspiration, shall be designated as Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month, and now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Mayor Chris Hoffman, do hereby recognize April as Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month in North Liberty. I don't think there's anyone here to accept that. I'll move on to item 9, which is council reports, and this is a time I've designated for our council members to let the public know of things that they are doing in the community as a city council member and on our behalf. Anyone have anything to report?
So I've been kind of asked by emergency management to continue to remind people that a severe weather season is upon us. And actually, last week was we had storms and actually had some damage in Iowa City area. And the importance of is making sure that people are prepared and are aware of these events as they're coming up. And they would like people really to encourage that using the storm radios that will send the weather alerts right away from the National Weather Service. But one of the other things in Johnson County, they have it's basically an app you put on your phone. It's called JOCO Ready, JOCO Ready. And they will send you the storm warnings and everything through that. And you'll get them instantly. It's almost as fast as it comes from the Weather Service. And that will maybe a little easier for folks to kind of remember. And it does have some reverse 911 capability. We had this missing child the other day, and it knew where people were in that area. And so it called you and said, hey, be on the watch out. So really encouraging people to kind of look into getting that app and putting it on their phone.
Thank you.
Mayor, I was able to meet with two different candidates running for Johnson County Board of Supervisors the last couple of weeks. I want to say thank you to David Woodruff and Jenny Wunderlich for taking the time to meet with me and genuine good conversation about North Liberty, what works here for us, what doesn't, and some of the future that they see for the county. So appreciative of their time.
Thanks, Brent.
If I could give a couple of shout outs, Liberty High School on the Mississippi Valley Conference Cliff Breeze Winter Sportsmanship Award. Thought that was pretty cool. And thank you to the Hawkeye men's and women's wrestling program for spending their Hawkeye Day of Caring at the food pantry. I was able to meet with our United States Senate candidate, Zach Walls, and had a great chat with him and was able to update him on all the fun things happening in North Liberty. And then if I could, the NAMI walk is happening on Saturday. That's the National Alliance on Mental Illness. That's at Terry Trueblood in Iowa City at 9 a.m. And I would just say, if you need, someone to talk to, please call the free hotline at 1-800-950-NAMI. Or you can text NAMI to 62640. And that's what I got. Thanks.
Thanks, Paul.
Yep.
A couple of things from me, Mayor. Just first and foremost, thank you to those folks that contributed to the spring cleanup efforts this past weekend. I was able to take advantage of it and was well-run machine, even with Tracy as the bouncer. We appreciate that effort.
Tracy.
Because of Tracy, yes. We appreciate that efforts. Just like to share congratulations to the kids and the Liberty Band, choir, music departments on their efforts to fundraise and represent all of our community in Orlando. They had a big event down there that most of them were gone, I think, for a good portion of the week last week. So I wanted to say congratulations and thank you for representing our community there. And then I did have the opportunity just a couple of weeks ago to volunteer over at Dream City, and I taught a class on business and marketing. And for those folks who don't understand or know what Dream City is in Iowa City, I'm not going to do it justice, but I will read it here. It's a nonprofit organization in Iowa City that empowers youth, families, and entrepreneurs through programs focused on advocacy, arts, community development, and small business growth, with a mission to provide resources and opportunities for those historically excluded. So I was very fortunate to represent our community with some of our partners in Iowa City, and then also donate some time to those efforts. Just really a great experience for me, and I was happy to contribute and do that. So I want to say thank you to those folks over at Dream City.
Thanks, Brian.
I also attended the joint entities meeting. Very informative, lots of presentations, so that was good. I attended the Iowa City School District Legislative Forum, just going over the things that were going on at the state capitol for the end of the session. And then I did participate in the Peace Vigil for the Moms Against Gun Violence walk on the Ped Mall after the events that happened, was it last week? Very somber event, very well attended. It really brings attention to things that we need to do to help our youth and try to prevent things like this. So my thoughts and prayers go out to the families that were affected and the people that are still dealing with the aftermath from that. I did want to maybe make an announcement. I read on my Facebook that the Youth Council, the North Liberty Youth Council, is having a flag football event on Sunday, May 3rd, at the Liberty High at 10 a.m. It would be great for North Liberty residents to go out and support our youth for an event like that. So that's what I got.
Thanks, Tanya. Mm-hmm. Thank you all for spending time in our community also on our behalf. I'll move to item 10, which is the Quick Star rezoning, and item A is a public hearing regarding proposed rezoning. Is there anyone in the audience, or Tracy, did we receive any comments online?
Nothing was received.
Thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing as there's no one in the audience for that. Russ, I'll move to item B, which is staff and planning commission recommendation.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is a rezoning, currently property zoned I-1 light industrial. Rezoning is to C2 Highway Commercial District on 3.69 acres, southwest corner of West Penn and North Jones Boulevard. Although the property is zoned I-1, industrial development is not the city's vision at that location. The city's comprehensive plan designates that property UHI, which is our urban high intensity. Light industrial is not consistent with that land use designation. So understanding it was a vacant parcel, when we updated the comp plan, we designated that more commercial would be appropriate there. So early on in those talks with Quick Trip Inc., we indicated, rezoning would be necessary, and they were totally agreeable to that. So this is why you see the application. So here's kind of the chart in the comprehensive plan, which kind of indicates light industrial is not consistent with that. We did have a virtual Good Neighbor meeting to talk about the subdivision plat and rezoning on March 25th. No one except Casey and myself attended, and there, as Tracy mentioned, no objections to the request. We do have two joint applications that aren't being considered tonight, but just as an FYI, here's the subdivision plat. They're obviously not looking to acquire all of the L. Pelling property, and this is all owned by LL Pelling. So they're just acquiring that 3.69 property to the acre. Interestingly, the property still goes to the center line of Jones Boulevard. So we will formally acquire the Jones Boulevard. It's currently in an easement, so no need to worry. But we will formally acquire that in the form of right-of-way through the subdivision plat. And then also the preliminary site plan again. So this has come to the Planning Commission on May 5th. So this is really just an FYI of really what the Quick Star development would look like. They have preliminarily indicated they would like a access on West Penn. So we've indicated a median would be necessary. So it'd be similar to what you saw with Forever Green Estates down on Forever Green Road, closer to Kansas, that type of median. They would sod it, and which would allow us at a future time to come in and landscape it how we want to, really as we install medians in the future in that corridor. So there was one finding that the Planning Commission that it achieves consistency with approval standards. And the Planning Commission recommends the City Council, they unanimously voted to recommend approval of the request at its April meeting. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Russ. Do you guys have any questions for Russ?
Russ, back to the median shot. So is that a one-way in going eastbound Penn only?
So it'll be right in, right out.
Right in, right out. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we don't like if you've ever seen the median, the right in, right outs where they just put a diamond in there.
Yeah.
And they don't put a median, they just don't work. And people sometimes are just jerks when they drive and just decide to take lefts. And
Right.
and so we said the only way we'll allow it is to, and this has been a consistent recommendation from our local MPO-JC metropolitan organization that they put medians in there. Some developers aren't willing to go through that expense and just say, we just won't have an access on there.
So they do the basics. We come in through parks and beautify.
Yeah, that part is going to be controlled by the developers agreement, which it's pending right now, and we've had great back and forth on that. I think we're just waiting for final comments and that, but that'll come to you before we get final plat approval and stuff, and that'll have the language in there governing how they're who's doing what and who's paying for what at that point.
So I'm guessing, no objection. So obviously being sold by LL Pelling, so the median, I'm guessing they don't have a objection to with all of their traffic.
Yeah, and it
trucks.
accommodates the turn into their development. And so where you see it taper toward the left side or the west is the taper to get into their driveway.
Will that create a turn lane into LL Pelling?
There's essentially there is.
Matches the one that's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just painted now.
Okay. Got it. Thanks, Mayor.
No problem. And as a reminder, we're just talking about the rezoning tonight, where this is a conversation we'll get to have in the future about the preliminary site plan. So any questions about the rezoning portion of this? Paul, you feel slighted, don't you?
No, I'm good.
You good?
I'll save it for the next time.
There you go. There you go. I didn't want you to feel slighted there because Brent got his comment. Casey, do you have anything to add to our discussion tonight? Item C is the applicant's presentation.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor. Russ really went over the summary of the rezoning. Just in addition, what we're proposing on site is our Generation 3 convenience store, which is the same building that we have at the Forever Green location. And then we're showing 10 dispensers here as well. We do not plan to have side diesel at this location. It's strictly just our neighborhood convenience store. So we'd be happy to answer any questions.
I won't be here when this is discussed, Paul, in a couple of meetings from now, preliminary plats. Will this have an EV chargers?
We plan to add conduit for future to add that. So we received a grant from the Iowa DOT NEVI program for the Forever Green location.
Right.
So we plan to add EV chargers there initially and see kind of how that goes, and then, but plan for potential addition in the future.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Sorry to jump in line on that one, Paul. Are there any questions for Casey? Okay. Item D.
Mayor, just I apologize for interrupting. Just want to mention Casey and the Quick Trip organization have just been wonderful to work with and consistently. So we always appreciate that.
I would echo that. Yeah.
Things that we ask for, they're like, no problem. And that goes a long way for a working relationship. So
great.
apologies.
Thanks for bringing that up, though. It's okay. Thank you, Casey. Item D is first consideration of ordinance number 2026-06. This is an ordinance amending the zoning designation for certain property located in North Liberty, Iowa from IL Light Industrial District to C2 Highway Commercial District. Could I have a motion for consideration?
So moved.
Second.
By Wason, seconded by Park. Are there any questions?
I don't remind the zoning. I will have significant issues with the final plat later on down the road. But although I love my donuts from Quick Trip.
Are there any other questions? Tracy, could we have roll call, please?
Leibold,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Fortney.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 11 is tobacco retailer compliance penalties, and item A is resolution number 2026-39. This is a resolution accepting payment of $300 civil penalty from Fairway Stores, Inc. Could I have a motion for consideration? Then Grant, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little background on both of these.
I'll move that, Mayor.
Second.
Moved by Smith, seconded by Fortney.
So every year we issue, as the permitting entity, you guys issue approval for the retail sale of tobacco products here in town. And in connection with that, our PD does compliance checks to make sure that our vendors here who have the permits aren't out there selling tobacco products to folks who are underage. And some years we don't have any news to report. Everyone passes with flying colors. And some years we have a couple people who miss the mark. And so the employees have been pled guilty or convicted of having a sale of tobacco products to someone underage. And once that underlying criminal charge is resolved and it's done and set in stone, then the permitting entity, in this case that's us, we're responsible for collecting a civil penalty from their employer. And that has a sliding scale from $300 for a first offense within a couple of years all the way up to revocation of a permit. This is the first offense for the resolution that's in front of you, and spoiler alert, it's the first offense for the next resolution too. And so one thing that is unusual about these that I'll mention just so you have it in your head for next year or the year after that, this is you have the possibility of having a trial here in the council chambers where you would act in a quasi-judicial capacity. If someone doesn't want to waive their right to a hearing, they can say, no, that wasn't our employee, or no, this didn't happen, and quasi is Latin for kinda. And so we would actually have a miniature trial here. Thankfully, that has not been the case. People have said, I would rather not put on have a trial at City Hall. I would rather just pay my $300 and be on our way. That has been historically the case, and that is the case here. So, I'm happy to answer any questions you have, but this is a kind of an administrative deal at this point. Recommend approval.
Just a quick question on is that for every offense, or is it just the quasi for the first offense? If we get up to a revocation of license, we could experience that here, is what you're saying?
If they do it 3 more times in the next 2 years, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But yes, the most we've ever had, I think, was 3. But yeah, yes, that is entirely possible. It would be very unusual, and I would give you lots of warning.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Thank you for that overview, and also a quick drive through the ordinances, their resolutions. That was fun. Could I have a motion? Could I have a roll call, please, Tracy?
Smith,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Fortney,
Aye.
Leibold,
Aye.
Park.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item B then is resolution number 2026-40. This is a resolution accepting payment of $300 civil penalty from the station LLC. Could I have a motion for consideration, please?
So moved.
Second.
By Fortney, seconded by Wason. Any questions? Tracy, roll call, please.
Fortney,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Leibold.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 12 is Community Center Parking Lot Project, and this is resolution number 2026-41, a resolution accepting the bid and authorizing execution of the contract for the North Liberty Community Center Parking Lot Improvements Phase 1 project, North Liberty, Iowa. Could I have a motion for consideration, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Park, seconded by Leibold. Do you guys have any questions about this plan and the contract?
Nope. Good bids.
Yeah, they were great bids. Tracy, could we have roll call, please?
Fortney,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Leibold.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 13 is our Transit 28E with Johnson County. And as Ryan mentioned earlier, this is our agreement for seat service with Johnson County. Resolution 2026-42 is a resolution approving the 28E agreement between the City of North Liberty and Johnson County, Iowa for transit service. Could I have a motion for consideration?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Smith, seconded by Wason. Do you guys have any questions about this?
Mayor, I think this might be a good opportunity to engage the council just briefly on what Seats does for the county and what they'll be doing for us, because it is a different type of service.
Well,
Go right ahead.
this is actually, right now through our Coralville Transit contract, we receive seat service 3 times a day. Morning, mid-afternoon, late afternoon. This agreement is going to provide the exact same service. So you're really not going, users should not see a change in the services we're offering, that we're offering in North Liberty. It just so happens that the contract will now be directly with us rather than through a third party with Coralville. Now there is, and I cannot speak to this in a great amount of detail, but there are varying services throughout the county, and Iowa City and Coralville, because of their transportation system already in place and the funding that they put towards it, has more service than North Liberty. But then when you look at cities like Tiffin or Solon, and some of the smaller communities there, they also will provide service out there, but it can be limiting, again, based on their capacity. So having this agreement in place, at a minimum, assures us that we'll get the same service that we're getting now. I don't know if that was responsive to your question, but
Yeah, and Seats has capacity, more capacity for ADA transport than other providers
yes,
does.
that's yes. However, with our NL TAP, Yellow Cab has also has the capability to provide that type of service as well, and they have also. So we're fortunate that we have a couple options there.
Yeah.
And if for those listening, or for those of you that know people that may have questions or want to use these services, the best option really is to contact Angie, and she can walk you through the options, get you set up. She does a really good job of spending time with people to understand what they need, where they need to go, and then she tries to match that with a transit service.
Do we have that information posted on our website for if they do have questions where to contact?
Yes, we
Okay,
do.
good.
A lot of our users don't use the website, and so we encourage. And a lot of times, Angie will go out to their homes and
Yeah, just
and
as
visit
if
with
they did have a question, at least we have something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. Are there any other questions? Tracy, could we have a roll call, please?
Smith,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Leibold,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Fortney.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 14 is our 2026A bond sale, and item A is resolution number 2026-45, a resolution approving the engagement letter between the City of North Liberty and Dorsey and Whitney LLP regarding bond counsel services for the General Obligation Corporate Purpose Bond Series 2026A. Could I have a motion for consideration, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Wason, seconded by Fortney. Do you have any questions about this portion? Tracy, could we have roll call, please?
Park,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Fortney,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Leibold.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item B is resolution number 2026-43. This is a resolution setting the date for public hearings on proposal to enter into a general obligation corporate purpose loan agreements and to borrow money thereunder. Could I have a motion for consideration, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Park, seconded by Leibold. Any questions about that? Tracy, roll call, please.
Park,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Fortney,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Leibold.
Aye.
Thank you. Item passes 5-0. Item 15 is Liberty Commons, Part 2, and item A is resolution number 2026-44. This is a resolution approving the developers agreement and stormwater maintenance facilities agreement for Liberty Commons, Part 2. Could I have a motion for consideration, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Fortney, seconded by Wason. Are there any questions about this? Tracy, roll call, please.
Smith,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Fortney,
Aye.
Leibold.
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0 as well. Item 16 is Urban Central TIF District, and this is our third consideration of ordinance number 2026-05, an ordinance providing for the division of taxes levied on taxable property in the April 2025 addition to the North Liberty Urban Renewal Area, pursuant to Section 403.19 of the Code of Iowa. Could I have a motion for consideration of our ordinance, please?
So moved.
Second.
By Leibold, seconded by Fortney. Any questions on this one? Tracy, roll call, please, one more time.
Leibold,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Fortney,
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. We're on to old business. Anything on there for us to go back to? Item 18 is new business. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
By Wason, seconded by Smith. All in favor,